really wanted to be home, and I wanted my children to grow up and have similar experiences as I did.
Home is your own private piece of heaven.
I know that if I go away and come back, there's gonna be a place for me here.
Home is a really hard concept for me. I can see it, I can taste it, but I need to create it. That's home for me.
When I was a child, the res was home. Like playing on the res with my cousins, riding bareback with my cousins, that was home, that was familiar to me.
The reservation, that's all we know. We never went outside of the reservation when I was growing up.
There's something about this place, and I think that was my connection, you know, having come home to this beautiful place.
Hey, I'm gonna keep going. I'm an elder, I have that strength. I have that hope. I have dreams that I have to complete. That's my hope.
No matter where you stand, remember, no matter where you're at, you are at the center of the universe.
I had my dad, when I graduated from high school, I had my dad sit me down and talk to me and said, "There's nothing here. You know, go off, go to school and make something of yourself. There's nothing here." But he's wrong.
If we don't teach our kids about the values, their culture, we're going to be worse off down the road. We're going to have more violence, more diabetes, more alcoholism. Listen, you name it, we're going to have more of it because the kids lose their identity. They have no tie to the land. They have no roots. This one man told me one time, you should be strong like the huge ironwood, the big ironwood, that the roots go way down there to the earth. And when the strongest winds come, it'll just barely move it because it's so strong. That's the way it should be, and that's the way our kids should be. But without that base, that knowledge of the language, the culture, the identity, they're going to fall to other things.
There was a time when I wasn't proud to be an O'odham. You know, it took me living on the other side of the world to realize that, you know, I really do come from a huge, rich culture.
I went away to school in Phoenix since 4th grade. And when I graduated in Phoenix, I went over to Flagstaff. And I was, you know, with these Navajos, Apaches, and Hopis, and they knew their language. And I'd be with my Indian friends, and some of them would be all Navajos, and I'd be in the room and they'd be talking Navajo to each other. Then they'd ask me, say, "Hey, Nolan, so how do you say this in O'odham?" And I didn't know, I can't speak O'odham. Or, you know, what are you guys about? You know, what do you guys do? What? And then I said, "I know we're farmers, but I don't know." And then they say, "Oh, you're a cheap Indian. You know, what kind of Indian are you? You're O'odham, but what can you tell us?" So that really hurt me.
I'm concerned about the next generation because I hear so much English now with the little ones in my village. Well, probably all over the reservation. You know, the next generation is really going to be different if we do nothing about our language situation.
With the saguaro harvest, there's songs that you sing before you go out and pick. You know, there's the blessing that you do. There's ceremonies that you do before you even go out and pick the first fruit.
I think you tell them what you were taught And I think as you grow up, you don't see the importance, but there's a point in your life that you look back and you remember what your elders told you.
Yeah, when I do that, I'm gonna do that, bring my kids out here, teach them everything about this, tell them how the way is, how I learned it. I'm not gonna let them live like the way I lived when not knowing how to do this, barely learning my way.
And if we give up that cultural practice of gathering, we lose other things.
We have something to offer, and our culture and our language is beautiful. It's a good life here. It's home.
My name is Victor Loreto, and I'm from Jemez Pueblo. Right now, I'm just working on a piece that my mother had built, so I'm just trying to finish off these here. And I've been doing this all morning. It takes a lot of time. I'd rather be doing a smaller piece right now, but these had to be done too, so it's all right. It's worth it, I think. Yeah. I know a lot of our people have gone off, not only my generation, but before our grandfathers and all that. I know they have their memories, and I know they miss their own thing, but for me, being away, it's like a piece of you. It's not there no more. But I'm glad to be home. I'm glad to be back home. It's really a blessing to be here and to be doing this, with my mom and my father and stuff. Yeah, that's what I think.
Even though we live on the reservations and the life has changed a lot, we live like anybody else.
We try to keep our home very open, and it has many purposes. And we always try to be there for the people. So in a way, we try to, I guess in our own way, we might be what you would consider ambassadors.
Whenever I think about leaving home or being away from home, I think about like the ones who have kept my tradition going, the older ones who have gone. I think just that makes me want to keep going.
Tradition to most of our people is carrying on the language, carrying on the ceremonies, carrying on the way we live, and be proud of who we are.
That's how I was taught. And that's what it's very meaningful to me, and that's very important. So that's why I teach my kids, about all this, what I learned from my dad and my mom. What my dad used to tell me is when I was growing up is help your people, help them. The people are the most important in this world. That's why I have a lot of respect for people. It don't matter what color. We're all human beings.
A lot of times I cry, I really did. I cried a lot thinking about home. I close my eyes, and then the clouds aren't all the same everywhere. Clouds from every different state, they're all different. But New Mexico and Arizona and these southwest areas, they got specific cloud, that you can see, and there was nothing like that, and that's what I really missed. And here, Jemez is my place, and I know whomever it may be, they could call home. It's different for maybe the other the other aspect of different ethnic groups, the black man or white man or whatever, but they got their ways, and us Native Americans, we have our specific way, and this is where I was growing up, and probably most likely be buried here in the reservation. Yeah.
I went to school when I was 12, and when I got my degree, I came back to the reservation. I teach Navajo culture, history, philosophy, and oral tradition and style. The Neck College is located in an old BIA boarding school compound. It's some students that are there, went to school there, were denied their language, their culture, and history when they were a kid. And in the same classroom, I teach those things. And in the same building, almost in the same place. And that's the ironic of what happened.
Now myself, I've found many opportunities to work off the res, to do art or to teach or whatever, and it pays a lot more than coming back. But I've always felt that this is my home. So I really felt this desire, like I said, that I really need to return home. I feel that pressure because I'm at that age now where just a few more years I'll be the elder, and people will be coming to me and asking me questions, and I don't want to be kind of searching, wondering what the answer was, or feeling bad that I had this opportunity to learn the answers, but I didn't.
We say that Navajo is a country, just like Mexico, China, or whatever, it's a country. And so we, as a Navajos, we are citizens of that country. And we have our own tribal flag, our own government, our own laws,
I have always I've been across the Mexican border a couple of times, and up into Canada, I always see these big signs that says, leaving the United States, entering Mexico. And I always thought, man, it'd be cool to have a real big sign like that on our border.
We talked about that, a number of times, and then he came up with the idea and says, if it is a country, we ought to say that it is.
So I collaborated with a few of my friends, and my dad was listening. He says, you guys should do it on June 1st. And I said, oh, June 1st? So that's when we signed a treaty with the United States, 1868. And I said, yeah.
So he put up a sign that says, you are leaving the Navajo Nation into the United States, or coming in, and they say, you are leaving the United States into Navajo. A lot of people have a problem with that.
They thought the United States was going to come here and take away their TVs. They wouldn't be able to go to Farmington to shop at Hastings or go to the mall, and they were pretty angry. And it was a really nice vehicle to actually get people kind of thinking about the sovereignty issue.
We are Navajo. The government have extended their jurisdiction without our permission. We didn't say come over and take care of us. We have taken care of ourselves from time immemorial.
My home is here. And home is where the family is. All my family's here. My mother is a teacher. She helps our program in that she is the master speaker or the fluent speaker.
My uncle Anselmo Valencia was the one who founded the reservation for us.
The reservation have 25 years already.
It was in 1979 when we were federally recognized. I don't remember at that point it being a big impact on me, at that point of my life. But as you get older, you start to understand the importance of it.
I wanted to have a home of my own, where I don't have to be going somewhere else, to stay with these people. So I finally bought a house in Coolidge, and that's where I lived for 30 years. And now I have a house in Pascua, the new Pascua. They made me a house, that's where I'm living now.
there's a lot more to having roots in one location than being able to say, I got a house on the reservation. The property that I live on was where my mother was born and where my grandfather raised his kids, and as a matter of fact, he was born on the way to Guadalupe, and now I'm raising my family there. So, we're going on, with my grandkids, going on 6 generations on that property.
Home is Tucson. Home is Tucson, surrounded by the Catalina Mountains to the north, the Tucson Mountains to the west, the Rincon Mountains to the east, and the Sahuarita Mountains to the south. And that's home.
We recognize that we say the root of our people is in Rio Yaqui, those 8 villages by the Rio Yaqui.
We were a tribe of the 2 different countries. And, we didn't see ourselves as Mexican Yaquis and American Yaquis.
The Yaqui tribe are hunters and gatherers too, so there was no border. They came and left whenever they wanted to. They would come here and camp when there's a certain season for picking certain roots or nuts or whatever, plants or medicines.
People like family from Mexico that come down to see us. My Nana's the only one who can talk to them. They're from Mexico and we're from America, and they would expect us to know our own language, but we don't.
And so it's been my challenge to learn as much as I can. I want to learn the language, the stories, the culture, the history, the art, because to me, the art, it to me, it just really feels like it has everything in it.
You're going out and you're meeting all these other tribes, and they see Yaquis as Hispanics too, because, here again, we're just recently recognized. And so they're saying, he's not even Indian, and he's out here, as an Indian artist. So we've had to, in a sense, prove ourselves to not just ourselves, but to other communities.
Our people went through horrible atrocities just like the Jewish people did. But they were never vanquished totally. But we came from those people, my grandmother would say. Proud, proud people, and you must be proud of who you are. Don't ever deny that you're a Yaqui person.
And we spoke our language. We weren't ashamed to speak the language. And we weren't ashamed to dress the way we were dressed.
I don't see trying to be Mexican from Yaqui as an issue for me. Because I know where I'm coming from. I know who I am. I wouldn't want to be anything else but Yaqui.
What is being Yaqui? Well, our parents were Yaquis, so we have to be Yaquis too.
We have stood here. We have died here. We have grown here. We were born here. This is our roots. This is our land.
In the summer times, there's a lot of sunrise dances that take place.
A sunrise dance is a ceremony set aside for a young lady that becomes of age. When she reaches her puberty, she is believed to enter a journey of womanhood, and the family decide way long before she reaches puberty that she's going to have a sunrise dance.
I remember when I came of age, I guess you could say, I was in Hawaii, and I remember walking out of my parents' bedroom after I had to tell them, and hearing their conversation saying, should we send her back? should we do a sunrise dance for her? And I remember standing outside the door just terrified, like, oh no, everyone's going to know, but not understanding like the whole symbolism, the beauty of it.
When I was a little girl, I hardly understand what sunrise dance means, but I always wanted one.
There were several things that I wanted to do before I died. One of them was to have my own place to sell the traditional food. One was learning how to swim. Never learned how to swim until last year. I accomplished that. The other was to be in a sunrise ceremony. And I think that's the Indian in me that I really wanted to complete, to be a godmother for another child. And to be honored to be given the title of the godmother, the co-sponsor to a sunrise ceremony. I got that chance, and so that I would have never gotten if I was, on the outside world.
During the winter, my 2 aunties and my grandma, Charlene, and a couple of my family members came over to have a meeting about a sunrise dance that be taking place in August, and to explain me when it's going to be taking place and how to get ready.
I had little girls, their parents come and tell me, like, be prepared when she grows up, you're getting a feather. Oh, be prepared when my daughter gets older, you're gonna hear a knock on your door. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready for that. I don't know if I would hope that I'm strong enough that I can continue to grow, to be the kind of person that can, I guess, inspire young people and to help them, I guess, in their path, their journey through life. But it's something that I'm still learning. I'm still learning about, I guess, traditional ways.
I got a feather early in the morning, and then I called my mom, and I told my mom, I said, Mom, there's a feather. She said, I'm here, your sister's here, your brother's here. What more do you need? I said, what about the money? We need the money. She says, don't worry about it. So I didn't worry about it, and in the end, I had finished the 30-something odd songs, and I know very well that I couldn't have done that without the prayers that all these people have around you, my family. That's what family is. That's what home is.
My friends, they say about sunrise dances is that they have a fun time just dancing around, and they wish they had one. They say I was lucky.
I want Kyra to have this dance because her mother and I were the ones that planned it years ago when she was just a little girl. And having to carry this on now as an aunt to her, I want her to be able to understand her identity as a White Mountain Apache. I want her to gain knowledge to the fact that as a young lady, she has the power, the ability to create life. And when she creates life, I want her to teach her children, her offspring well, and to carry on the legacy of our people. That's what I want.
I look forward to contributing to Kyra's sunrise dance in many ways. I want to be the guy to bring in all the wood, the posts, help build the tables. And I told her, there's going to be a lot of prayer and a lot of time, effort, money. Everything's going to be invested in her. People are going to take a big chunk of their daily schedule out for her. And I was really pleased to know that she realizes that.
The thing that makes me really scared is dancing on my knees, because it's going to be really hard. It makes me really happy that they're there for me, and whatever I need to know, I just ask them.
And I think that's what the Indian woman has inside her, knowing that they have all that support. And I think that's home. I think that's family, and I think that's being Apache. I think that's being Indian. I know in my father's generation, it was a generation of hardship and hard work. My father went to war without being able to vote.
I don't wait somebody else to tell me what to do. I do it. This house here, it took me 2 years to build it with the help of my late father.
He is the owner of Tony Reyna's Indian Shop, which has been in existence for 50 plus years. I think we're going on 55 years now.
Yes, my thought was I was setting an example for other people to do the same thing. I started from nothing, from scratch. I couldn't get a GI loan from the bank because at that time the bank weren't interested in loan to Indian. Things have changed since then. My father's philosophy was to put something back to the community. That's the philosophy my family, all my brothers and sisters have done. They always put something back into the community.
I really wanted to be home, and I wanted my children to grow up and have similar experiences as I did, rather than growing up in the city while I was going to school or going to graduate school. And I came back, and of course I figured what I wanted to do was to come home, and I knew that if anything, if my grandparents could live this very simple life, so could I. And wanted to then grow around that idea. And it just so happened that a friend of mine was involved in this development of the center, and he asked me if we would, if I would join him. And so we began to just begin that, and the next thing we knew, we started holding classes, and then we had volunteer teachers, and we've come a long ways. But the whole thing was to allow our kids to be creative, to show self-expression, to give them the materials, the technique, the knowledge, and then see what they bring forth with it.
Sometimes we get together, like he said, one night, have practice, and we'll put on a hip-hop CD or something, get a couple lyrics from there sometimes, and make a song out of that. Make us just any old song, just to make fun or to really sing it,
What it means to be Indian, I think it's what you represent by being involved with your people, doing something for your people without expecting any recognition. Do things because you want to do things.
Our success is based upon our own personal happiness. We are the makers of our own happiness. We can't depend on somebody to make our world.
I had done my share, and I'll continue to do it until my dying day.
It's that obligation that I feel within me to my grandparents and those who came before them, and for the generations to come, that we leave them with something. And that something is home.